call the Brattleboro Selectboard special meeting to order. This is a special listening session at the Brooks Memorial Library, and the topic is the budget. So, John, has this meeting been officially warned?
Yes.
Great. I have a few remarks. First, I would like to welcome you all here, and I would like to thank the library for hosting us. The library has asked me to read the following messages. It's library sign-up month. Cards are free to all Brattleboro residents, and Star Electronica, our librarian, is happy to make cards for anyone who would like this evening. So that's nice. And there's really very few rules. There's a sign-up sheet. I have half of it here, but please avail yourself of the sign-up sheet. And as people come in, and if I don't catch them, maybe you can mention that to them. And everyone will have up to 5 minutes to speak and one opportunity to do that speaking. And I just have one budget-related opening remark to make, and that is that in the newspaper, there's been a lot of talk about double-digit tax increase. But I just wanted to clarify that last year, the increased tax rate due to the municipal budget was an increase of 8.9%. When that tax was factored together with the school for the total property tax rate increase, that increase was only 2.7% total overall. So I just think that it's nice to start with the facts. And what else? Well, John, do you have manager's comments?
No, I don't have anything.
Great. And how about my colleagues? Do you have remarks that you'd like to make before we start? Oscar?
Hello. Hi. I just want to say, glad to see you all here. I'm looking forward to doing this and hearing what you have to say. We did get some comments last time when we did this in the spring that some people would have preferred to do this after seeing a draft budget when there was something to respond to. Our plan at the moment is to do that once we release a draft budget. We'll do a second one of these, so there'll be a second opportunity then. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. You know, when I was growing up here, I think I read once that Brattleboro was one of the top 5 towns in the country, one of the top 5 small towns to live in. And, you know, I came back here because of my family and because of the natural beauty here and because of the community we have. And I don't know if right now that Brattleboro will be rated one of the top 5 towns in the country. But I do believe that through processes like these of creating a budget together and with public participation, that helps make a community strong. That helps us be the best town that we can be. And I really appreciate your showing up here and participating. We had a listening session like this on April 8th, and I took a bunch of notes. I know we reviewed them. It was really helpful to hear what values are, what you value, what's important to you in this budget and in the process. And I'm really proud of this group because just last month we had a retreat and we identified 5 priorities for the next coming several months. And one of them was financial responsibility and health. And that's fundamental to everything that we want to do as a town. So as we listen to your priorities, that's going to be one of the things that I'm thinking about, as well as everything else that we hear. So thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I can't let the day go without. One more thing I wanted to say was to mark that today is September 11th, and we need to honor the solemn occasion that it is. So, if members of the public, this is the public participation portion of our meeting, if there are members who would like to discuss something that is not the budget, please raise your hand. Dick.
Dick DeGray, Brattleboro. It is on, right? Sounds like it is. Oh, thank you. John, you made several comments Tuesday. The one I didn't hear was the piece with the railroad for the right-of-way. Hopefully you have an answer for that, or we're making progress there. The second thing, I was disappointed when we were discussing the charter on when to have the meetings, and that a lot of the political wonks in our town seem to be condescending to our community members, to say that they can't figure out the process and what we're going to vote for. I was really disappointed. It's like dumbing down the town that you live in, and you know it all and we don't. So I hope that we can stay away from the rhetoric of the community can't figure it out, and all the fear mongering that might happen if you vote this way or this goes away or that doesn't. I don't care what ends up happening. What I want people to do is vote. And I want you to vote for what you think is best for you. What affects you and how you think it will be better for you after your vote. Not what somebody tells you you should vote for. Not talk about all the things that people are going to bring up. You make your decision on what's best for you. It was really disappointing for me to sit there Tuesday because I respect all the people that spoke, but I didn't respect what they said because I felt it was a disservice to the community that I love and the people I love in this town, because they're going to be able to figure it out without somebody holding them by the hand and go, pick this item here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I am Naima K. Wade, and a local literary artist and a humanities educator for many years. The founder of what was called Alana Community Organization and served as the executive director to talk about what is community, and areas for ages 8 to 104. And what I'm doing now is as a creative aging teaching artist. I'm working with a program called Legacies, Reckoning, and Resilience that I am interested in continuing here. I sort of spent a lot of time working with it here at the library and received a grant from several arts organizations at the state level and private funding, which is really very good. And it's for one of the things, as someone who's been in Vermont since 1964 and through school and seen all of these different changes and no faces. And, you know, I knew you when you were a little boy with your parents over at West Brattleboro with the Dorothea and Stockwells, okay? So one of the areas that I'm working with is what is community? With all of the changes that is going on in the community, and one of the things that the arts councils have asked me to do is they really like the idea of tracing it, facing it, and having some idea of what our community is. And I'm very, very thankful that the project kicked off last summer here at the library, and it went very well. We had a lot of participants. Most of them were supposed to be over 60, but somehow they ended up with their kids and babies and grandparents and all of that. So it was really very good. What I'd like to ask is that you consider, because I've been told that municipalities and libraries are eligible for grants. And as someone who is doing this and someone who bridges the community divides, I'd like an opportunity to present it, that you could consider wherever it has to go from here to take a look at the program and allow you to have the grant. I would pass it over, but I would be doing the program. So I'm offering money. I'm not asking for anything except to be a part of the community, something that I've always worked for here in this in the state of Vermont, at top level, down, up, sideways. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who does not intend to speak about the budget? All right, I think we're ready to roll. Regular business is the FY27 General Fund Budget Development, and we have a draft schedule. John, would you like to explain the draft schedule?
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is sort of a kickoff to developing the FY27 budget, although a lot of work has already been done on that front and is currently being done. All of the departments in the town have been pulling together their thoughts on what the fiscal 27 general fund budget should look like, including what we should be doing for capital planning. And so that's kind of going through a process right now internally where the departments are speaking with their staff, trying to understand what the needs are, what they're hearing in terms of demands for services coming from people, from all of you, and what they would need to deliver on those services. So this, in this schedule, the first item is tonight. So the first of two select board listening sessions to get a sense of sort of early feedback from anybody who has thoughts on developing the budget, including if you have thoughts on this schedule that I'm describing right now. That would be helpful as well. Then our plan is to work through all of the department budgets and the central budgets to put together an initial draft and a budget presentation for November 6th. So that would be the first select board meeting in November, which I have November 6th down there, kind of assuming if the board wants to move it. Oh, actually, depending on where the charter goes, it may actually be on November 4th. So, so at that budget presentation, we'll bring our initial thoughts on what a budget is, what it could look like for fiscal 27, along with one other thing we're working on is a 5-year projection on that budget. So that would also be included with the information that goes to the select board on either November 4th or November 6th. Let's see, then in addition, we are working on a 25-year projection of capital improvements that are necessary, and so that will also hopefully be ready by that meeting to share with everybody. Once that information is presented to the select board and available online and in your packets, there will be a second select board listening session after that, so that the select board will be able to hear initial responses or thoughts or suggestions, ideas on that information presented on the 4th or the 6th, and that will be on November 12th. The board at its retreat in August asked that we develop a process here that has individual departments coming before the select board at a select board meeting to talk about what is in each department budget. And so the schedule on your agenda is broken out into 3 nights where that will happen. The first is on November 18th, and that will be the fire and police budget. So the fire chief and the police chief will come on November 18th and answer questions that the board may. They'll make a presentation on what's in their budgets, what services they deliver, and then answer any questions that the select board or any of you have at that night. Next, on December 2nd, there will be a similar presentation, but from the Department of Public Works, the library, and the Recreation and Parks Department. So on December 2nd, same thing, each of those departments will make a presentation and be available for questions on their budgets. And then finally, on December 16th, all the other departments will be available then, so town clerks, assessors, finance department, town manager's office, all of the smaller budgets will, I'm not sure if the board will want a presentation from each one. We're certainly happy to do that, but we'll all be available for any questions on those parts of the general fund budget. Then the plan after following that and getting feedback on each of that kind of breakdown of the budget, there will be a discussion by the select board on January 6th and discussion about any budget revisions that they'd like to see. And then finally on January 20th, we'll be seeking the select board's approval on what's in the fiscal 27 general fund budget. That is the plan as it stands, and I would say that if we are partway through this and the select board feels like they need additional information or additional time, we'll certainly be flexible to schedule additional meetings or whatever the board needs. So that's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Does anyone on the board have any questions about the schedule? Anyone in the public have questions? Neil?
Thank you. Thanks. My name is Neil Manders. I'm out in District 7. First of all, I want to thank the board for doing this. I'm really concerned about the fact that I look around and I see about 26 people here, which is great, and thank you all for coming. But we have over 5,000 voters in town what you decide in terms of budget will have a direct impact on them. I really think that we need to have a system by which you become more active rather than passive. I applaud your passiveness by offering meetings. However, I think reaching out to other organizations and places around the community would be a way to help people understand what's happening with the budget. This year is going to be incredibly confusing. What with the town charter, what with the 2 petitions for open and Australian ballot, and possibly even a 3rd petition for an RTM vote. So I think the town needs to begin to understand what's going on. I'd encourage you, for example, to reach out to the Elks, reach out to the Lions, reach out to the various fraternal organizations around town that may be able to listen to you. How about the senior home housing in town, many of the seniors? How about doing some editorials in the local papers in terms of this is what we're looking at with the new town charter. Does it make sense? You can hear it or have an explanation of it so that voters have an idea of what's going on. Reach out to the high school. We now allow 16-year-olds to vote in Brattleboro. Is there any program in the high school currently that addresses town governance? If not, then let's get one in there so that we have the young people in this town who we hope will come back and live here once they determine their educational levels and funding. This is what's going to be affecting them more as much as us. So if you could do that I think would be really helpful. In terms of just the budget itself, I can't spend a whole lot more money. So please, in your wisdom, try to restrict the budget this year as much as possible. But also, please bring in your citizenry to help you decide so that we don't end up like we did last year, where you go to an or you go to a town meeting and you suddenly get a whole bunch of people standing up who read maybe the town budget the night before and come in and say, "But I don't like that article, let's amend it." I would like to see that budget come up, and yes, you can have some discussions as you're building the budget, not at the end when everybody has sort of thrown their 10 cents worth in. So, thank you.
Thank you, Neil. All right, so anyone else have comments on the schedule? Seeing none. All right, the FY27 budget listening session. We've provided 3 suggested questions, which are essentially prompts, and they were the same questions that we asked in April. And so I'm just going to read them, and of course, you're not bound to them in any way, but they set a nice tone. Number 1, what values do you want to see reflected in the FY27 budget? What do you most want to see changed in the FY27 budget? And are there any town services that you want protected in the FY27 budget? So, I have the initial list of people who would like to speak, and of course there's an additional sign-up sheet over there on the table if inspiration hits anyone. But again, only talk once, please. Okay, number 1, Ken Fay. Mr. Fay?
Good evening, Ken Fay, District 8. I guess my first off, I want to thank the library for hosting this. I also hope from budgeting for next year that the library is kept whole and no cuts will be made to it, but that's minor in the big scheme of things. Second thing is the public safety and the downtown. That was all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that were passed were because of an emergency. I'm curious, and it's been mentioned before, are there any metrics and information and numbers that will determine when the emergency ends? Because to me, an emergency is an event, or it's a finite. It's the timing or the duration is finite. And so I'm curious as to if administration and the board have thought about, okay, when is when, I guess. And that's all. Thanks all.
All right. Next question. Oh, Ken, your question will be answered as identified in the schedule, when the police chief comes. Neil Monders again. Do you have something additional to say?
No, I'm quiet. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Susan Belville.
Can I defer my time to another slot?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm going to move you to the end.
Thank you.
Moving right along, Jean Walsh.
Thanks, I'm just listening.
Very good. Karen Tyler.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to put my hands on speed.
Okay. We are moving right along. Aaron Smith.
I thought it was a sign-up sheet. Just a sign-in, because it says sign-in. So I just signed it. Same with my
This is
wife.
great. All right. Jennifer Smith.
6:30.
Ditto? Yeah, okay. Mary White.
Same thing.
Same
It
thing.
says sign in for the meeting, it
Oh.
doesn't say sign in to speak.
All right, all right. Well, there's a lesson learned, I'm sure. Millicent Cooley.
Me too.
All right. Randy Blodgett. We have a participant.
I'll echo also thank you to the library for hosting this. It's wonderful as always. Also, thank you for bringing up 9/11. I had lost high school friends in that tragedy, so it's always good to just remember everyone from that horrible tragedy. Brattleboro faces a critical juncture due to the confluence of evolving economic conditions, demographic shifts, drug addiction, and unprecedented surge in demand for essential services. While these challenges can be addressed individually, their combined impact has strained town government and its taxpayers to the brink. Whether homeownership or rental, the escalating burden of real estate taxes, cost of living, has left many residents wondering how to pay their bills. Regrettably, Brattleboro ranks among the top 5 states for taxation in the United States. A common refrain among residents I encounter is that their tax obligations exceed their mortgage payments. Many expressed uncertainty about their ability to continue residing in this town. Furthermore, small businesses are grappling with the same challenges, including reduced foot traffic, increased operational costs, and a decline in local purchasing power. Consequently, some medium to large employers are considering relocating due to the high burden of all the benefits for their employees, the cost of living, and scarcity of housing. To address these pressing issues, Brattleboro must adopt a more efficient and cost-effective approach to governance. Programs and services with high costs should be reevaluated and discontinued if the outcomes are below a predefined threshold. The notion of simply increasing annual expenditures without a tangible improvement is no longer viable. A comprehensive overhaul of town government is imperative. This transformation should encompass adopting technology, enhancing efficiency, and attracting new businesses and professionals to create more employment. By doing so, Brattleboro can create a living wage for its citizens without the necessity of multiple jobs. Collaborative efforts with partners in the community, partners in the state are essential to foster economic development within Brattleboro. In response to the upcoming fiscal year 2027 budget, I propose a 0% increase. Additionally, I strongly advocate for a discontinuation of the solid waste curbside collection contract currently under negotiation. The remaining 7% of the FY26 budget or any other amount available should be utilized to reduce taxes moving forward. To achieve this, I propose that residents be empowered to find their own methods of waste disposal, whether through contracted services or by utilizing transfer centers. Currently, we basically have a monopoly situation that hinders competition and efficiency. If other haulers are permitted to compete for a share of the waste pickup contract, it would foster a more competitive market. Furthermore, I suggest implementing various measures to reduce town real estate taxes. These include a 2 to 3 cent per gallon gasoline tax, EV charger tax, diesel fuel tax, to capture additional revenue from tourist traffic, a continued push for the state to receive our full 1% of the sales tax, rather than the current 2/3 share of 1% that we were receiving, a tax on Airbnb rentals, increased fees for town services that exceed basic needs. Additionally, we should explore revenue opportunities for water sales and waste treatment for neighboring towns or businesses. Furthermore, we should identify town properties that could be sold or leased to generate additional tax revenue. Over the next 5 to 10 year plans, we should focus on reducing staff size through attrition, identifying cost-effective ways to save taxpayers more money. The primary services essential for our town are fire, emergency medical services, Department of Public Works, and police services. I'm concerned that many of our services are perceived as Cadillac services by both residents and visitors. We should prioritize services that deliver effective results and avoid the embarrassment of the highest taxes in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. All right, Eric Karen.
I signed up for after Sue, so I'll let her go before me.
Sue, are you ready?
Oh, okay.
I think you and Eric are trying to outmaneuver each
Oh,
other.
I didn't see the list, I just know I came after her. Respectful,
Sue,
following the list.
didn't you have another, Madam Chair, I think that Sue wanted to answer another question on here.
No, there's no question specific item.
Oh, okay.
These are suggested topics.
Okay, well, I'll go if she's not comfortable going, that's all.
You go right ahead, Eric.
Okay.
Yeah, your chivalry is not lost on us.
Sure, that way I can go into the mic and not knock it over.
There's a podium.
Let's see, the three questions. I'm Eric Karen, District 7. Values. What are my values? I have to say, I think these three questions that you brought up, one was values, the last one was what services do I want to save? What was the middle one?
What services do you want to change?
So what services am I willing to cut or let go? I think this whole framework is what we saw last year on the budget, and I think it's very unhelpful. I know you said it would set a good tone, but I don't think it does. In fact, I think what it hurts is transparency, and it hurts creativity, and it actually puts people against each other. For example, if I say something like, I think that fire, and I think EMS, and I think police should look at their budgets and try to find a way to cut them since they're the largest users of our funds, then somebody else will get up after me and say, you're not respecting police, and you're not respecting our fire department. You don't care about those hardworking people that put their lives at risk. I'm not allowed to ask them to be fiscally responsible. It's like as if my values are somehow bad because I want us to be transparent and fiscally responsible. Well, I came from a home that was blue collar and not very wealthy. And we had to make very tough decisions about food and about transportation and about clothing. I wore my sister's hand-me-downs for years. This town is a wonderful place, but I wasn't here for this meeting, but I hope I don't get these facts wrong, but it's been bothering me ever since I missed it. There was a discussion about the new fire car. And it could be repaired for, $12,000 and get a 3-year warranty. The car was old, like 10 years. And we did that, and instead of doing that, we bought a brand new one, shiny, beautiful. That's great. I mean, our fire chief is a wonderful person. My values say respect fire. Absolutely, we need that service. But I also know that the average car in America is way over 13 years old. And I live with cars much older, and a good quality car doesn't have to be brand new and beautiful. And if we make every decision one after the other where we don't take into consideration our financial needs of this town, and we say our values, we can't cut services, we can't reduce things, what do you want? You want fire to not have good equipment? No. I want us to be responsible and transparent and to value that we all need to take part, including the important services and the essential services. That's basically all I have to say, but I guess I kind of made me feel like if that had been a public works vehicle and it was 10 years old and it could be $11,000 to fix it or replace it for $72,000, would we have done it? Or would we have paid the lower amount, got the warranty and moved on? Or somehow fire and police, well, I'm sure somebody will get up and tell me that as a community member, I don't have the right values. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Eric. Well, Sue, the time has come.
Susan Belleville, District 8. I don't usually make notes at this time because I wanted to stick to the questions at hand. I thought it was important to get a focus on why we're here tonight and the fact that the select board and hopefully department heads want to hear what we all have to say about what town government is costing us. One of the key things that I think the board and department heads and the community needs to focus on is getting back to basics. That we need to start with the foundation of what is required to run the town of Brattleboro. We need access to public safety, emergency services, public infrastructure, and water and sewer. Those are the basics for what this community needs. And a little aside there, how many instances just in the last 3 months has the town Public Works Department had to facilitate emergency repairs to infrastructure that detracted them from their scheduled work, and it cost additional time and money to meet those expenses? We should not be in a position where we're facing crisis after crisis around infrastructure. Those need to be built into the 5-year plan so that we're not suffering from water loss or sewer access for all of the neighborhoods that have that. We also deserve safe sidewalks for everybody, and we deserve good roads. And that's what our Public Works Department is for. So one of the other things that I've brought up before, but I've never made a huge issue of it, as in from this forum, from a speaker, I've mentioned it to a number of people. The town of Brattleboro sends out bills to people for a number of services. A lot of that money goes uncollected. People do not pay their bills, and they're not being sought, the money is not being sought after, right? From EMS services down to something as simple as bills for the health and safety inspection of multifamilies. They're not being collected. Fines that are assessed for code and zoning violations are not being collected. That is something that should really be top of the list. I know that rescue, when you don't pay your bill for rescue, they'll sell your debt to a collection agency. We have that right too in this community to make sure that our services are paid and the town is made whole for those costs. So I really would like to also, one other very important thing, and Randy touched on it. We need to manage expectations for the people of the town of Brattleboro. We have a finite amount of money. We have a finite method of collecting it and resources to get it from. We need to manage expectations of the whole community so that we're not trying to appease everybody and making others suffer. We need to make sure that the whole community is protected and not just certain special interest groups. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Now, we have 2 more speakers. I would like to ask Tom Franks to come to the podium, and after that, Ann Wright.
Thank you. I'm Tom Franks, District 9. I too thought the sign-up was just a sign-in, but I'm glad to talk at any given moment. And I'll just say that I have a couple core principles for municipal services. I believe there are essential services. They've been enumerated already. The essential services are health and safety, in other words, fire, EMS, public safety, and Department of Public Works. I would add, personally, because I strongly believe that our community, did I do something? Our community and our nation need education and information. But right now, in this time, and all times, a library is an essential service for me. And I think it is for our community. We don't have civics, as I understand, in school. We are woefully ignorant on a lot of, as a populace, on many things of government, and we have a lot of need to talk together. I think the library does a great service. Not to say I want to cut anything else. I mean, all of the things we do are important to somebody, but I think it's a challenge, and I just want to thank you for taking it on. And I think your schedule, your openness, and what you're trying to do is to be commended. You're trying to listen to the community before we start yelling at you. I really, I'm glad to yell at you, but I'd rather talk to you in advance. And I appreciate the fact that you're trying to make that as accessible as possible. And I also want to commend the select board as a whole. I know some of you made choices to be here tonight, missed other meetings, fun ones, and I want to thank you for that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Anne Wright?
Hi, I'm Ann Wright. I believe I'm District 9, former District 3. I still want to be District 3. I don't know why, but I'm having a hard time with the adjustment after all these years. So a couple of things. I want to thank everybody who spoke before me and in support of everything that I have heard tonight. Thank you all for being here. There's a couple of things that I want to share about my own personal thoughts and values about this, the town budget. Last year, there were many discussions about the potential to cut positions or do wage freezing. I would like that option to be strongly considered for the process for this year. It's something that I've had to go through personally myself, both as an employee and as a forget the term, as a salaried employee. I've had to have my wages frozen, I've had to have my wages cut. I don't see any reason why we are not considering that for town managers as well. The other thing that I want to address is that Brattleboro, as an old town with many old houses, has a lot of multi-family homes that are like people like myself, 2, 3, and 4 families where we are able to afford our homes by having apartments and renting them out. We're not landlords on a scale of like a Jason Cooper or something like that. And I would like to ask the board to keep that in mind as you go through the budgeting process, knowing that we are also going through a townwide assessment this coming year, and our property taxes are going to be addressed as part of evaluation of our homes. That I currently am in the position right now of having to flip an apartment, and I have kept my rents for the last 4 years, haven't raised my rent. This year what happened with taxes forced me to do that. But I just want you to keep in mind, those of us who are able to afford to live in our homes and provide housing for other people, that there is a direct correlation between the town taxes and then what we have to pass on as rents. That makes it, that's just contributing to the unaffordability of housing in this area. So I want to speak, to that population for those of us who provide that service to this town. So, thank you.
Thank you, Anne, and yes, that is a very valuable service that you provide. Mr. DeGray?
Bring in a reliever at the end. Because we have so much time left, I'm going to ask, I'd ask for more time, but I'm sure everybody here would say, here, Dick, take mine. I'm going to ask to hear 5 minutes from each one of you about what you're thinking as we head into this budget process. I think that's important for us sitting here, and maybe some of that people are watching and it'll get in the paper, to hear what your thoughts are. I heard several things that struck a bell. One was talking about being villainized for speaking out against a certain department. The board made some cuts last year, and then as we were going through the budget process, a group of people would come in, the library was one, and maybe people don't realize what the process is, and all the departments are asked, what can you give up in this process? And Star gave a list of things that she could give up, and Star has a pretty good wallet in her back pocket that she could have paid for a lot of the things that were on the list that were initially cut. And the board, after several people came, put the money back in the budget. the board needs to have courage. The arts department, the arts funding, which was $20,000, I think off the top of my head, was cut $15,000. A few people came in and said, the arts are important in Brattleboro. Everybody in Brattleboro knows the arts are important. You're not cutting it because you want to cut it. You're cutting it because there are other needs in the budget that prioritize that. And I would call the arts, as important as it is, as an elective, an extra. I'm buying a car, you know what, I can afford the cigarette lighter. The reality is, the job that you have is difficult. I went through 8 of these budgets, and I went through 4 up at the high school. So I know what it's like to sit there and go, boy, I'm going to take some heat there. But you wanted to sit there. And it takes courage to sit there and make cuts. And I think, when I look at some of the things that happened, the increases for the administrative staff the last 2 years is unheard of. Unheard of. And as I've said before, somebody said, well, we're trying to keep our staff, they're good people. I don't disagree with that. But it's about affordability for everybody in this room that we've heard. And if you think you want to make more money, then go, find another job. We're going to replace you. Because everybody that's left in my 30 years of paying close attention, guess what? We fill them with equal or better people. So money shouldn't be an object to keep someone here. If you don't want to be here, leave. Plain and simple. One of the things they talked about trash. I don't think we should have trash pickup. I really don't. When you own a commercial building, or you own which is an apartment building of 5 or more, if you don't know that, we are subsidizing trash pickup in the town. 50% of the town for trash pickup is being subsidized by commercial properties because they don't get trash pickup. So if you have an apartment building and there's 5 or more apartments, you're paying for trash pickup and you're paying for a dumpster for your tenants. And so guess what? They're paying for that trash dumpster and they're paying for the trash pickup of everybody in town. We can figure out a way to do something else than spend $1.1 million? So as we go through this, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say when I'm done, unless there's somebody behind me, because we have so much time. And maybe that will spur some more questions for you. But I think it's important to hear what you have to say about the process that we're looking forward to in the next month and a half. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Liz?
Dina, please.
Sorry, I just want to say that.
So, yes, may I ask a question? Should we put the sheet again? Because I think we're starting to roll and it is still up there. So
Anyone who would like to speak can walk over and sign up and let me know. In the meantime, Dina, please continue.
Hi, Dina Chadwick, District 9. I just wanted to speak. I didn't come here prepared or anything. I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say. And I was late and I gotta go because I have another meeting to get to. But listen to I want to speak to everyone that's here, not just the board. We all have the same finish line here. It doesn't matter whether you're for this or for that. We all have the same finish line. Like Anne, I help subsidize my business with a very low rent. A single woman that lives above me, I keep the rent extremely low for her, utilities included. I'm not trying to float my boat or pat myself on the back, but I know it's hard out there. But as a landlord, if the taxes keep rising, I'm gonna have to higher her rent. There's no way around it. And I don't wanna do that because I know how hard it is. Everybody knows how hard it is. So, we need to take a hard look at everything. But what nobody has mentioned today, and maybe this is not a time, and I will email all of you guys with some ideas, is about revenue that doesn't include raising our taxes. Let's talk about that. Peter, you said something about getting internet a while ago, townwide internet. Where are we on that? Is that happening? Is that gonna, I mean, Chester has it, they make money from it. Maybe we should talk to their board, see what's happening with that. That would be a source of revenue. Also, the land that you guys are talking about selling, you know, there's different ways around, you know, you can sell it, you can get a lump sum, which would, you know, just boost your money for a little bit and then you'll get taxes for it. Or possibly you could lease it to a developer that's willing to put in 55 and older living, because, you know, that's an issue in this area, is people that want to downsize their houses don't have a place to go. I had a client that is, you know, just waiting for somebody to sell their house at Morningside because they don't want to take care of their house anymore and they want a condo living situation. So I don't know what land you guys have available, or if you could lease it and then you could have control of it. I'm just spitballing ideas. I'll email you later with more details. But let's talk about revenue beyond taxing people, because I understand that prices keep going up and up and up and up. And, you know, we all want the things that make our community whole, but, you know. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for doing all the hard work, appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you.
I know.
I'm in District 1, and I am a homeowner. And I have had a business here, Wade Consulting Teaching Services International, for over 35 years. So I have paid my taxes completely. And I have a home business as a owner of a condo at Morningside Common. We're talking about revenue. And revenue can be seen in different ways as coming in to us as a community of everyone, okay? Everyone always thinks that here are my values. My values are called human values. First one is just tell me the truth. The second one is right action or right action. The third one is peace. The fourth one is nonviolence. And the fifth one is love. And not the ooh, ooh, baby kind of love. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a sense of there's a lot of creative revenue available right now. One of the areas that I've been involved in is Vermont at the state level and at all of the national level and international level, is to create revenue for add to a creative economy, collaboration. Networking is, I know you, you know me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an offer that municipalities can take a look at, that I saw a list. I mean, it was a major list a couple of days ago of revenue, because municipalities have not been on that list. You are now on the list as eligible for monies to help sort of address this. You can't do this, you can't do that. You know, we can have all of those. We need all of those things, and I agree with everybody about what we need as someone who, you know, have to, you know, recycling and all of these things. I love it, environmental. But what I'm trying to ask you to do is to open up other revenue streams. And if you need some help with that, that's why I spoke and that's why I'm here. And I've been here a long time and I've seen the changes, and I see the good changes, and I see what's going on and trying to address some of the confusion. or you can't have this, you can't have that. There's space available. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Jacob Hen? Maybe Jacob thought this was a sign-up sheet and not necessarily a speaking sheet?
Oh, I didn't know, I just.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I.
Yeah, you're not alone, Jacob. All right, so, again, anyone else who would like to speak? Neil?
I just want to address the second question you have on here, and what would you most like to see changed in the FY27 budget? I've been involved or been attending to a lot of your meetings, and I've heard a lot of what's going on with the town charter and some of the items in that. One of the things that the RTM did in the past was to create that fund for human resources. It was approximately $500,000 of donation to various organizations around town. I'd like to see that gone entirely. If we need to put some money into it, that's one thing, but I think most of these organizations are doing their own fundraising, and in many cases, as was evidenced tonight, by somebody saying the librarian already had the money in her back pocket to be able to do what she needed to do. I think many of the other organizations are in similar straits. So I would like to see you do as best you can to at least reduce that, if not eliminate it totally. The other little spot that I have is I drive by the park frequently in the mornings and see the swimming pool. And this summer, it seemed to me that the pool was open for about 6 weeks. We spent about $100,000 on that pool for 6 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that this town shouldn't have a swimming pool, but I'm saying if you're going to have a pool, make it available so that it's usable year-round by all residents, rather than just sort of the summer school 6-week people. So either I'm hoping you can do something that either elongates that and doesn't cost as much, or we come up with some other kinds of funding that we can do with that. And then the third thing is, again, I said this last year and I say it again this year, resources, 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 get them in here. Get creative as best you can. I heard a couple of kind of cool ideas here in terms, I'm not sure I would agree with raising gasoline taxes, but that's an idea. So think of those kinds of things. Putting a toll gate on I-91 would be great, but we can't do that. But so there's how you are. Thank you.
My husband's wanted a toll booth for years. Richard?
Richard Davis. I wanted to just comment on something that doesn't quite fit into all those categories. It's possible that it may affect the budget significantly. And Darrell Pillsbury and I have been running the Wyndham County Heat Fund for 20 years. And generally what we do is we supplement at the beginning and the end of the heating season what people might get for fuel assistance. So the federal program funding usually kicks in the end of November, and most people stretch it out to maybe the rest of the heating season. A lot of them can't, and then we'll help them out maybe in March or April. This year, there's something going on that nobody really has the answer to, and this is what scares me, is that nobody knows for sure whether or not the LIHEAP money from the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, federal program, is going to make its way to the states. What's happened is, as far as I can tell, I've spoken to people in Bernie Sanders' office and Peter Welch and state level people, and what I can tell is happening is the money, which is about, I think $2.1 billion nationwide, has been appropriated, but Trump fired all the people that work in the department that doles out the money. So it's not clear if that money is gonna sit somewhere and never move, nobody knows whether that can change. Bernie and Peter Welch pleaded with the administration early on to reinstate those people, but we don't know. The bottom line for Vermont is that last year, the state of Vermont got roughly $21 million in light heat funding. I spoke to the major fuel dealers in Brattleboro. The majority of their customers receive fuel assistance. So what does this mean in terms of, now I spoke to Josh Davis today at SEFCA. He's much more optimistic than I am, and he believes that the money's gonna come through and everything will be fine. I spoke to a woman this morning who needed help, and she told me she spoke to somebody at the state who told her that the money was coming in, don't worry, everything's fine. But I spoke to the people that administer the program in Vermont, and they told me they don't know. So basically it's a shit show. That's the only way to describe it. So what I'm saying in terms of the budget is, I hope it works out and everything is fine. My organization has tried to raise extra money. I don't know how much extra we'll raise. But if the bad side happens, if the money doesn't come through, a lot of people in Brattleboro are going to die. I mean, it's not an exaggeration. I mean, already a lot of people that don't ask for help, some people do. I don't know what's going to happen. There's also implications for EMS. I mean, there may be a lot of people that are, you know, we may have an epidemic of hypothermia, I don't know. The other possibility is, related to this, is that 45,000 people in Vermont are gonna lose Medicaid. There's a serious chunk of money that is reimbursed through Medicaid for the EMS service. And a lot of those people do use EMS services, so what's gonna happen if let's say 10 or 20% of the normal revenue of the EMS in Brattleboro is cut because these people aren't going to be able to pay. You know, they no longer have insurance. So, and then on top of that, food stamps is cut. So really what's going on is like, you know, let's kill people because everything will work out better for the people at the top. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. And we're having a fundraiser Sunday night at 7 o'clock at the Hart Rose Club because we have a GoFundMe page for the heat fund. And we're trying to supplement the normal money that we usually raise. In case, this is just, nobody else is being proactive. So I thought, the hell with it, I'm going to be proactive and try to look at the worst case scenario and try to do something. So that's what we're doing. So if you want to come, there's no admission charge, just by donation. They get some nice music, it's going to be a concert. The other thing that I would urge people is, there's a lot of proud Vermonters in the winter that will not ask for help. Now, if you know somebody who's either wearing 6 blankets walking around their kitchen because they've closed off the rest of their house, or if you're aware that somebody's run out of fuel, call me. We'll take care of them if they're too proud to ask for help. We can find out who their fuel dealer is and have a delivery arranged. Very few people are going to turn down a delivery when they see the truck in their driveway. They don't have to know where it came from. And, tell them Santa Claus did it. So, anyways, that's it.
Richard, thank you very much for that sobering bit of context. So again, this is a listening session. The Select Board will be talking at all the meetings that were outlined. The Select Board is going to really digest and understand all the comments that were made, and you'll be hearing from us. And I appreciate you very much. I think we all do, that you came here tonight and spoke your mind, and we just need more of that throughout this budget season so that there aren't any surprises. And we're all working very hard to make this municipal government work. So thank you and good night.
Just a question there. I wonder if any of the select board would like to answer Dick's question.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
And Rick, you missed your chance, but I'm sure people will be talking afterwards. Thank you all very much. Good night.
Actually, I wanted to say some things that I heard, because I think it would be good to echo back and summarize a little bit of what we heard, so people know that they were heard.
Well, I think there's plenty of opportunities to do that throughout the year, throughout this budget season, and I think we all need a chance to digest what we've heard. So I'm not going to veil us all for those at that time, and I would like a motion to adjourn.
Well, it looks like my colleague.
Hi, it's part of the reason why we're here, is to hear your thoughts as well as our thoughts.
All right, fine. Oscar, Amanda, Isaac, you have comments?
I would love to just say one thing. It's not going to be very comprehensive right now, but it'll, maybe others, it'll come back to me. Feel free to email us. You can also get all of our, any contact information on the town website or exchange information while we're here. I, for example, am a farmer, so text me or call me, email me. I'm a little slow. But maybe we can just talk about, just know that we want to hear from you. It's ongoing. And things will come up at various times, so keep bringing them up. And I'm going to turn my mic off now and see who wants to respond to
Isaac?
Dick's.
You want to speak?
Yeah, so I wanted to first of all just note a couple of factual corrections of things that were said rather than letting them sit around in people's minds. So with the arts fund, the town arts fund, there in the past it was, I think it was the previous budget cycle is $20,000 was in there. The previous select board for this current fiscal year that we're in had eliminated it. It wasn't cut by 15,000, it was eliminated completely. And this current board that you're seeing restored $10,000 of it. So we put it back to half of what it had been the previous year. The other thing is, I heard a couple of people say something about the library having, or the director of the library having something about in her back pocket. And there is an endowment that the library has, there's a, which can draw some money from, but it's not like, I think that to expect that the departments are going to somehow personally or fund their own departments apart from revenue from the town isn't a realistic expectation. A few notes that I heard about the process were, I really appreciate that Mr. Manders, you mentioned the idea that we can be proactive like this event tonight, but reaching out to other groups. You mentioned fraternal orders, you mentioned the high school. There's also, you mentioned writing op-eds or editorials, like these are, and I would encourage people here that you can do that as well, and you can tell people about coming here tonight and let people know this schedule for people to show up. I also want just to appreciate what Mr. Frank said about the value of communication with one another here and beyond, that how important that is for our community to talk to each other about our priorities. And then Eric, you talked about feeling like you can share your values, and I want you to know that I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. I'm interested in hearing what everybody has to say. We may not agree about it, but there needs to be some basic safety and sense of respect in here for us to be able to share what is important to us, and also where you see opportunities for cutting. One of the themes that I heard tonight was the importance of financial responsibility and frugality of us, the real concerns and real fears about what's going on with the economy and also what's happening with cuts by the federal government to essential services, things that affect heat and healthcare and basics for folks in our community. So that's something that we'll want to be mindful as we are putting together this budget. Well, I also heard, Ms. Belleville, you mentioned the idea of really thinking about the infrastructure of our town. It may be, we may want to be skimping on certain things, but we want to make sure that we're thinking about our sidewalks, our roads, and not delaying things that can be more expensive later on by when we're having to respond to emergencies.
Since you directly addressed me, I'm going to address you. I really feel that this particular conversation is inappropriate at this time. I'm asking you to not validate people's discussion and let the whole board absorb it and use that information to move forward with the budget process.
I will refrain, I'm happy to refrain from addressing your comments or anybody else's specifically, but I do think that it's really important. This is feedback that I got after the last listening session, is people said, I feel like we shared all this stuff about what's important to us, and we didn't know, is it going in one ear out the other? It doesn't seem like you took it seriously, and I want you to know that you're heard, and I think the best way for people to know they're heard is to hear it back. So I will refrain from addressing anybody individually, but just say that I heard a theme of that there's interest in being really mindful about the increase in taxes and avoiding significant increases in taxes. And also that there's interest in creativity around a potential gas tax, selling or leasing land or properties, and looking at how can we increase revenue in addition or other ways besides taxes. But again, thank you so much for coming out here, and just want to echo the appreciation from my colleagues here expressed.
Do you want to say something?
I suppose. Well, I don't have anything prepared, and I'm also hearing sort of conflicting things about whether people want to hear from us at this time. But I don't have fixed thoughts on how this budget is going to go. Very much of it is going to depend on what we see when we have a draft budget to look at. I am hopeful that it's not going to be as stressful as we think, that things will look better, and we won't have to make the kinds of hard decisions we made. So I really don't have, I'm not coming in here with a thing in mind that needs to be changed, a department that has a problem that needs to be solved. I think in general, our town staff works very hard to run a tight ship, and there are few things in our budget you can find that people are not going to fight hard for. And people, including myself, who think, oh, there's something that maybe I don't use that would be an easy change to make, I think you will be surprised to find how big a constituency there is for that exact thing, possibly outside of one's own personal bubble. So there are really no obvious easy changes to make. So I'm hoping that we will be looking at a better landscape when we see the draft budget, and I'll have much more to say then. I'm happy to stick around and talk and hear more from all of you. And I hope we can keep talking like this throughout the fall and the winter. So, thank you.
Peter. Sure.
Anybody who's been listening to me throughout the last process and this process knows I'm not the guy you want to come to for cuts. I don't think cuts to people's jobs, their livelihoods, their well-being is the correct course of action. For my entire life, I have been a man who has been hired to find revenue sources, to find streams of money, to create those sources, those revenue things. And I've been saying this for the better part of 40 years. Revenue solves a lot of problems. That's my focus on this budget process. Not to find the minutia of the cuts, the adding the $10,000 versus $20,000 back in for the arts, to find a way that the arts can generate that money and pay for itself, or we find the extra money through a gas tax, through a Wi-Fi, town-wide Wi-Fi service, through selling off plots of lands, through extra taxes for Airbnbs, going as much as we can pull from resources of people who do not live here, who use our town, who use our municipality. If we can get them to pay for half of that, I feel like that's a real revenue source. That's my focus on this whole budget. I hear everybody's concerns. I appreciate everybody's concerns. There's not a person out there that has spoken tonight whose point hasn't resonated with me and that I look to invalidate. I don't invalidate anybody. That's the way you feel, and if there's one thing I've learned in my life, I don't get to tell you how to feel. So when you bring something up, it is valid to me. But just know I'm not gonna participate in conversations that cut things. I'm gonna participate in conversations that grow things. So that's my angle on this budget.
All right, thank you. Again, everyone had very interesting things to say. There are some additional ideas that were brought up at the end of the last budget discussion. Ideas for revenue sharing, ideas for use of town lands, etc. There were ideas brought forth in the Selectboard retreat. And so all of this, all of your comments, all of our ideas, they'll all be brought forward in the stew that is our municipal budget. And there'll be plenty of time to ask more questions, hear from us about what has been and what will be. I will also note that there are budget negotiations going on this year, and there are healthcare costs that are rising. So all of that, and the context that Richard Davis brought up, all of this is very important to make us all understand the importance of the budget this year. And the six of us are all extremely focused on doing the best for Brattleboro, keeping the taxes as low as possible, and providing the appropriate services that a municipal government should have. With that being said, I thank you all once again, and I ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Peter has moved to adjourn. All select board members in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
There you go. Once again, thank you very much, and thank you to Star and the entire library staff, and BCTV, and I always thank Seth Thomas.